welcome to Judicial About Show. Money means business, and we always say business means money. Not only that, with time and what we have been facing and are still facing with the COVID-19, that too can affect tremendously our economies, can kill economies and create recessions, and what we've been witnessing with other countries. Fortunately, Egypt in this situation has come nearly unscathed from this situation and the total lockdown of some countries and lockdown countries and curfews and all that. Well, we've got a lot to talk about, not only that, but mainly the effect of the COVID-19, the economic measures that the government took, the repercussions of all that, especially that a lot has been happening, and there is blooming instead of recession. Thank God, Egypt, and this is with testimony of financial institutions. And here, Egypt has withstood the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic so successfully that it was among the world's 10 fastest growing economies in 2020. Bloomberg said in a report that the economies of Egypt, Uganda, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Rwanda, and Kenya have all resisted the economic impact of the pandemic to be among the ones that escaped recession. At least 5 of the countries in the top 10 list are expected to remain within the growth club throughout 2022. The report said African economies would probably have outperformed the rest of the world during the coronavirus pandemic. Africa's 54 countries now include 7 of the globe's 10 fastest growing economies. Of course, Egypt is among those, in part because the virus may have improved their competitive advantages. They accelerated their decade-long transformation from exporters of natural resources to hubs of wireless, remotely engaged commerce. And we're going to talk more about that and a lot more of issues, actually, what's happening in Egypt right now, economically speaking, of course, that is related to all aspects of life, and in light of the COVID-19 economic measures taken by the government and more. And we have with us our guest, Mr. Hani Abul Futuh, who is going to be talking to us more about this. Thank you, sir, for being with us. It's always a pleasure having you.
Pleasure.
Well, before starting our talk, let's go for a short break, after we should be coming back. So stay tuned to us. Don't go away. We're coming back and we'll start our talk.
Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Hel Al-Said, announced on Thursday the decline in the poverty rate in Egypt for the first time since 1999. El-Said explained in a statement that the poverty rate in Egypt fell to 29.7% during the fiscal year of 2019 and 2020 compared to 32.5% in 2017 and 2018. She emphasized the decrease in the poverty rate in all regions, and the largest decrease was in rural Lower Egypt by 4.73%, followed by Upper Egypt at 3.79%. The minister said that the surge of income, expenditure and consumption results indicate an increase in the average annual net income of the family at the level of the Republic of 60,400 LE in 2017 and 2018 to 69,100 LE in 2019 and 2020, with an increase of about 15%. She stated that this relative improvement confirms that with the pursuit of economic reform did not ignore the state for its due role in mitigating the effects of the procedures of this reform at least income groups. It has coincided with the government's efforts to implement the national program for the reform of the economic and social implementation of a broad package of social protection programs is the largest in the history of Egypt. She noted that the state aimed at increasing public investment in the current fiscal plan by 70% to reach 595 billion Egyptian pounds and includes direct investment of 47.1 billion Egyptian pounds for the development of the government rates level, an increase of 51% compared to the previous year, with the government's interest in developing the protection system of social and extending social safety nets. She emphasized the expansion of the number of beneficiaries of the Takaful and Karama program and the expansion of the implementation of the two initiatives, A Decent Life for the villages most in need and Survival Boats, as the most important tools to enhance the umbrella of social protection.
We're back again to Money News Business with our guest, Mr. Hani, economic expert. Thank you, sir, again for being with us.
Pleasure.
Well, as you said, we have this report with Dr. Hel Saeed and also with we are still in not at the aftermath, but we're still suffering, and the world is suffering from the pandemic, the COVID-19 that is affecting economies and creating a lot of havoc in lots of economies, and of course, socially speaking, even it is a very unfortunate event. With all that, the measures taken by the government, the economic measures taken by the government in order to avert the bad effect of the pandemic, and the testimonies of the financial institutions it proves that the government is doing well in its measures against that, since they just are testifying that it's we're growing, and what we're doing is sound.
Well, despite the economy has contracted by 1.7% from the period April to June, but the good news is with the measures taken by the government, the economy is expected to grow to reach 3.6% for the fiscal year 2021. And also the primary budget will remain in surplus, which again, this is for the second or maybe the third year, if my memory serves me right. All that is due to the measures taken by the government. Broadly speaking, or generally speaking, the government has introduced forbearance, tax and credit forbearance measures in order to help the affected segments or sectors of the businesses in the society. Also, the Central Bank of Egypt launched several initiatives for introducing credit schemes and or providing credit to business sectors that were most affected by the pandemic at preferential rates. Also, the central bank waived charges for several banking services until the end of this year. From the broader scope, the government was able to secure or to allocate 100 billion Egyptian pounds as initial budget to face the repercussions of the pandemics. And also it was necessary to fill the financing gap. The government issued bonds for $5.2 billion and subsequently issued the sovereign green bonds for the first time in the MENA region for $750 million. Similarly, the government arranged finance with IMF. The first scheme was $2.8 billion, followed by the emergency assistance of $5.2 billion. All these measures have been progressing the economy. We'll see that the IMF recent report showed that Egypt is probably the only country in the MENA region which escaped recession and will achieve a positive outcome in 2020. All that gives us hope that the coming years probably will continue the same positive progressions in the economy.
Definitely. Also, with the second edition of the Economic Summit in Egypt, well, after the completion of the reform program, which was praised by several international economic institutions, well, there are specialized sessions, of course, talking about, again, as you said, the banking sector and its role in supporting the growth of the economy, especially in light of what we've been going through, which is really very difficult. Also, you know, the national projects in Egypt, building Egypt and its future during the coming period. Well, you know, gigantic projects have been taking place, and especially if we talk about the new administrative capital, the new Alamein city, and a lot more. And of course, all the situation now that we're in, accelerated the digital transformation that we are seeking. If we don't really do that, and everybody does that, then we'll be lagging behind, which is, we have no choice in doing anything afterwards, we'll be lagging behind. Also, like let's say the private sector and the government, they should be cooperating in all that in order to promote the economy of Egypt. The importance, also, they stress also the importance of building the fora like that, like, you know, this summit. Well, how important do you think, you know, the importance of the summits, economic summits like that, in building the economy of Egypt, in bringing all parts together, well, private sector, public sector, and other think tanks, in order to all be in one place in order to help boost the economy of Egypt?
I think that the summits and similar gatherings would be very important, not only today, but even in the future, in order to showcase the success stories of the government and what has happened in the past, in order to deal with the pandemic and other difficulties which were prevailing in the past. Yeah. And let me tell you that the summit and the summit has shown that the Egyptian economy is resilient to the external shocks, and that's so we see that for example, the PMI, the Purchasing Manager Index, is now showing positive results for 3 consecutive months, which shows that as a result of the measures taken by the government and the cooperation with the private sectors and other entities, Egypt was successful in passing this difficult journey. And the economy, I think that the private sector is feeling more relaxed these days, as opposed to a few months back.
Definitely, definitely. And also, like all ministries and everybody's working like teamwork in order to pass this very hard period that was hard on everybody, especially, let's say, abroad. You know, we didn't really, well, we felt it, but not that bad, because also there, you know, the commodities at supermarkets were lacking, and here the government made sure in this period that we'll find all commodities, the food and everything that we need will be available, not to feel the impact of the pandemic and people being scared of it and hoarding commodities and food and all that.
Let me tell you,
Definitely. Go
I
ahead,
just
please.
want to pick
Yes.
on the last statement, which is that people are not rushing to store the commodities, and ever since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic in March, all commodities were available in the market, and no one, unlike other countries, and even these countries are advanced countries, people were just rushing to store unnecessarily
And
the
elders
commodities.
didn't find it. Unfortunately, you know, like we had used, you know, it's like empty.
Empty shelves, yeah, we've seen it in
and
many
all
places.
the people could not, you know, just go and you know, because the others, you know, are just, of course, younger and would just get everything and hoarding food, and then they're ending up with nothing to eat, actually.
Yeah.
So sad. When we did not have this, you know, at the beginning, some people were scared.
Even
but they
the
were
prices didn't. I mean, the prices didn't jump radically during all through the difficult period.
Yes.
Everything was stable, and the inflation rate, as you may have seen, is declining,
Yes.
meaning that the commodities are available at affordable prices.
Definitely. And of course, which is really good, also the initiatives launched by the presidency and other institutions, and he said, you know, the banks and all that, you know, for the people who could not really afford some, you know, kinds of food, it was like, "Mataglash عليك," it's not, shouldn't be really expensive for you, it's going to be available for you. So, you know, like also with initiatives like that, making available for people who could not afford certain commodities, making them available for them. So, you know, like lots of outlets actually from different parties in order to make the food, the
Available,
meat, all
yeah.
that, exactly.
One more initiative I think was important is an initiative for simulating the demand on the market, and because Egypt is very powerful in population, and the spending demand is very important to encourage people to spend, and the economy as such would sustain its progression.
Definitely, definitely. Also, it's very important to, when, you know, like some people who are not really suffering from that, and it's like safe, and there were curfew, and, you know, like of course, you know, a lockdown like other countries, but things were more relaxed. But you find some people who are not really suffering from anything, you know, they just only don't like to go back home earlier and all that. But I think, you know, people are just, you know, getting used to that there are timings, you know, we to abide by. Still, you know, it's flexible. And, you know, like the measures taken by Egypt to quell the pandemic. Well, I'm talking about the first wave, also the same with the second wave. A lot of effort has been done because we've got used to the first one, and now we know what it was new, how to respond to that. Well, other people who just not do not have businesses or just work day by day, they were touched by that.
Definitely,
that
and that's why the government has, in the beginning, allocated exceptional cash payment disbursement for the irregular workers for several months. Although that is, I mean, might not be sufficient to cover all their needs, but at least they were not left in the dark. They were not left devastated because of the pandemic.
Definitely, definitely. Well, talking about the poverty line and the CAPMAS reports. Well, you know, what are the, let's say, you know, the improvements in that? You know, like, are we just, you know, like a well, is it you know, minimized, or, you know, what's going on in that?
Well, according to the CAPMAS recent report on income and expenditure, which was released very recently, the poverty line declined to 29%, down from 32.5% in the fiscal year 17-18. Likewise, the severe, the extreme poverty line fell down from 6%, 6.2% from the 17-18 fiscal year to now 4.5%. I think that this is due to curbing the efforts to curb inflation. Inflation now stands at 4.5%, and this is actually below the target of Central Bank of Egypt, which targets 90%, 9% with a tolerance of, with a margin of 3% up and down. So due to curbing inflation, due to making or dispersing financial aids to shield some segments, the poor, and some segments, low-income segments of the society. All these efforts have yielded as reflected in the decline of the poverty line.
Definitely. Also, the efforts and like what the president directed to be done is like with those non-orderly employees or like workers, there should be an amount, as you said, like allocated to them in order to help them money, in order to help them get through this hard period, but also to be incorporated in, to be registered and incorporated in the whole.
That's expanding the Takaful and Karama program actually to cover. I don't have the figures now, but I think it must be millions of people, more than 9 million families, if my memory serves me right. So all these were important to shield the poor and needy and the low-income segment of the society from the repercussions of the COVID-19, as well as the difficult measures which were taking have been taken since the initiation of the economic reform program.
Definitely. Well, we'll talk more about that, but we have a short break there. We go for a short break after we should be coming back. Stay tuned to us. Don't go away.
Presidential spokesperson Bassem Rodi said in a statement that President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has inspected on Friday a number of projects to develop road networks in Cairo and Giza governorates as part of the country's national development plan. Radi added that the president inspected the Heliopolis Ramses axis and its extension route to the 6th of October city, noting that the president was briefed on construction work of a number of the main axes in Giza Governorate, especially in the Mansouriya area and Hadai El Ahram district. Late October, the president inspected road projects in New Cairo's first settlement, South Road and Muhammad Naguib axis. El-Sisi also inspected road projects in Old Cairo's Civilizations Museum axis.
Well, meanwhile, following up on the report, meanwhile, the president gave his directives today, Saturday, to hold comprehensive services system integrated with the national projects of new roads across the country to guarantee the safety of citizens and to realize economic benefits as well as afford more job opportunities. This came in a meeting with the head of state, with the presidential advisor for urban planning, General Amir Saeed Ahmed, and the CEO of the National Company of Roads, Magdi Anwar. Presidential spokesperson, Ambassador Bassam Radi, said that the president also instructed the executives to realize the maximum benefits of lands around different axes and roads coinciding with the targeted urban expansion, and that's very important. And following up on this, also, as these are mega projects, the mega projects of Egypt, how do they boost our economy upfront, definitely, and especially in the very hard period of the COVID-19 pandemic that everybody is passing through, and Egypt, of course, is passing through too.
Well, I would like to note that while we see other countries are putting the mega projects on hold or even have canceled these projects due to the difficult times after the pandemic, it's amazing that here in Egypt we are continuing the mega projects, and we see President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is touring the country, different places to inaugurate new mega projects. Mega projects are important, and actually they provide jobs to in different sectors. Of course, the mega projects will have direct impact to lower the unemployment rate in different sectors, yet some sectors may still suffer from the pandemic, like, for example, the tourism sector. But let me tell you that the mega projects have, I believe that the mega projects contributed to lowering the unemployment rate. Now it stands at 7.1% from 9%. Now it's exactly the same rate before the pandemic, coronavirus pandemic. So the mega projects actually provide jobs and provide work to different sectors in the constructions, in transportation, in catering, in different sectors, and all these sectors will show positive results quarter after quarter.
Well, let me also add that, concerning the tourism industry, well, let's say, local tourism is very important. Of course, there is kind of encouragement in order to, let Egyptians, of course, visit many places, but still, there are, visiting other places, you'd find, like tourism going on, not like before, because, of course, some are financially hit, and of course, they do have, especially nowadays, restrictions on that, but, or fear that they travel and just there'll be a total shutdown or lockdown in the country. So the situation is not very sure right now. But also Egypt is still working, as you said. Well, we are opening big projects and of course excavations, finding new coffins and new discoveries in the Saqqara area and other areas. Wonderful, wonderful pieces that were unearthed and coffins and definitely sarcophagi that were just discovered. Of course, also transferring the kings and queens, the ancient kings and queens from where they are just to the Museum of Civilization is a great event. It's not really sure. They were talking about Friday, that was yesterday, but then the date is not yet sure, but it's a great thing that Tahrir Square is lit everywhere, and it's beautifully lit. You know that
It's as beautiful as Concord, even.
exactly.
I haven't seen it myself, but I saw some photos. They were impressive, actually, and I can't believe that Tahrir in year 2000, a few years back, and at the time of the
At the time when you
revolution,
compared, it was horrible.
yeah, you see tents, dirts everywhere, totally total chaos.
Yes,
I would say.
yes.
If you go to Tahrir, walking around the square,
Or driving even there.
or even driving, yes, it's something which you feel proud.
Yeah.
How Egypt transformed the total chaos
In very few years.
In very few
In
years.
tremendous
Yeah.
transformation. We hit rock bottom during those times with all the chaos that some people were bringing and some agendas caused.
Yeah.
But to, you know, flourishing, and in the COVID-19, as we are talking, in like we're still working, opening projects and exporting vegetables, exporting olives, and we took the place of some big countries in olives like Spain and others. You know, like there is the brand of Egyptian olives that is #1 right now, and we do have the oranges, we do have the vegetables that we are just exporting to Europe and others. You know, which is really amazing.
I'm sure that if Europe had not imposed a ban on travel, by now Egypt would have been flooded with thousands, probably, I wouldn't say millions, but I mean huge number of tourists to see, transforming, moving the antiquities
Yeah.
from Tahrir to the new museum.
It's a great, it's a magnanimous event, actually, that everybody is just following up and everybody is interested in doing, but I mean, we don't really, they're working on that. As you said, they're, you know, late, and now, you know, like the Tahrir Square is, you know, prepared for that. There is also the trials, and they're just trying all that, the rehearsals of the procession that is just carrying the kings and queens. You know, that this is, you know, Egyptian kings, ancient kings and queens with all the glamour. That's really a great event that everybody's waiting for. But also the great event, which is that other people also and everybody is waiting for, is the inauguration of the Egyptian Grand Museum,
Yeah.
which is the gift to the world, which is the gem. It's a gem and a gift to the world, actually.
I think by that time, when the measures, the tough measures released in Europe and other parts of the world, this will be a very, it will attract a huge number of tourists who are longing to see the old Egyptian civilization under one roof.
Definitely. But not only that, you know, that and still the old Egyptian Museum downtown, which is in Tahrir Square, is still standing there, and other museums are opening everywhere. In the one of civilization in Old Cairo, we do have, you know, in each place, you know, Hurghada, we do have that. In Asyut, you know, like Sohag, you know, with each place with the discoveries that were made, and it's wonderful when you go there. You know, like culturally speaking, you can have only visiting, just going on a tour to the museums, and it's really wonderful. So, you know, Egypt is really well endowed with everything. You know, like to say, if it's religious tourism, well, you know, like going diving, or, you know, going for culture, or going, you know, for history, or what else, you name it, we do have, or, you know, like health, you know, like, and that is now the trend with everything, you know, like with Anisira, you know, with the old things that were really ignored. Now, you know, it's really going fully.
Reviving.
Exactly.
And the good thing about all these is that they satisfy the need and desires and expectations of different segments of tourists.
Yes.
Those who would love to see the antiquities, they have places to see, wonderful antiquities. Those who are would like to enjoy the outgoing, the beaches and our wonderful beaches in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh. We have still. They have still the opportunity to do that, but we are keeping our fingers crossed to lift the tough measures and see more tourists coming next year.
Well, you know, like with expectations, and of course the talk of the experts, tourism experts that, you know, came and talked to us as our guests, the expectations are really very positive. Especially that thing is, you know, if we talk financially speaking, well, Egypt is offering very reasonable, if not cheap, say tours here, or, you know,
Indeed,
trips.
indeed.
Definitely, and anybody going, you know, we are in the center of the world, so it's easy. It's close to Europe. It's close, you know, to, you know, like it's in the center, so it's easy to come here and find whatever you like. You know, you visit Egypt, you find everything you want.
And
Definitely.
one funny, I mean, something very interesting. I've seen a series of tours who come to Egypt and show how you spend the day with $10 only. What $10 can buy
Do for
in
you,
Egypt.
yes.
So this is a free publicity. I see it as a free publicity, and when in the right time we see people from different places coming to see and enjoy the treasures of Egypt.
And also I'd add, you know, like not only that, I'd expect that just soon tourism, shopping, you know, because of course, you know, the Egyptian cotton is thriving again.
Yeah.
And a lot, you know, jewelry. Of course, we do have, you know, too many designers and top designers and working, you know, like worldwide, and brand names, big names that are doing, you know, in even bags and all that, that they do have, you know, their places out. Well, things is going that way. It's like, you know, everything is going, you know, in the forefront and developing. Well, you know, you know, saying that, you know, and you know, trying to say, you know, bless Egypt really with all the blessings that is now, you know, using and you know, working on. Since we've got all that, we started really using that, developing what we have, which is very important. So, you know, part of it, you know, as you said, with tourism, of course, is very important. You know, this is the first industry that is really hit by every event that is happening, you know, like any event like terrorism or, you know, COVID-19 or whatever, you know, like it's, it really is the people working there.
Actually, it's not only Egypt. See what's happening in Spain. Spain
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
with the complete shutdown, lockdown of business, they have lost tremendously. And Paris also. Unfortunately, when the Eiffel Tower, the lights of the Eiffel Tower is turned down, so it's very sad that you see all countries which rely on tourism, they lose the momentum and they lose huge revenues because of the COVID-19.
Definitely. It affected every, even socially speaking, of course, with all that, all is intertwined, and it affected all walks of life, all, you know, aspects of life, and negatively in many places. But I say, you know, here, well, there is, you know, a silver lining to every, well, you know, black cloud or something like that. There is a silver lining, and with that, I'd see, you know, also. It's not that, you know, like we used to go shopping anytime, you know, we know sometimes the shops would not close, well, midnight, after midnight, you know, like, no, I'm not talking about necessities. I'm talking about any shops, you know, if you want to go and shopping, especially before any Bayram or any holidays, then, you know, like even Christmas, you know, like 3 o'clock in the morning for shops open. And I was walking downtown, you know, like finishing at 3 o'clock, but, you know, people going there and buying things. Now, you know, there is that kind of like more discipline.
This will change, or probably has started to change.
Exactly.
With
And
the new rules on
new rules, exactly.
the closing down.
We're talking about everything good, you know. Well, now Ahli, also now our director said our Al Ahli got the cup. So this is a good news.
Oh.
Yeah, now, you know, like Ahli has, now, you know, like it's got the cup. So it's really a wonderful thing. Congratulations, Ahli. And we are just, you know, going back to that, well, you know, like progressing in every aspect, which is really wonderful. It shows that, you know, you're progressing. Well, the country is progressing since, you know, in every aspect, even in sports. We've seen right now in like our youth and sports people going and getting medals, you know, gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals, you know. Well, you know, year after year, it's just, you know, like, you know, going up in the name of Egypt, you know, and that is retrieving that. Talking about, you know, like, you know, as I, you know, I'm saying shopping too, you know, we do have that, and even talking about Egyptian cotton anywhere, you know, the big reputation of Egyptian cotton, and we're getting it back.
Maybe the best.
The best, definitely.
The best gift to give a friend is a Egyptian cotton-made shirt.
Exactly, exactly. Well, unfortunately, we have 3 minutes to go. And I'll let you, I'm not asking anything, I'll let you just say whatever you want to say to finish this episode.
Well, maybe one thing that I want to say here is that although the picture would look dark, it is not actually dark, because out of each dilemma, out of each crisis, there is an
silver
opportunity.
lining always.
Yeah, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity that we sit with our families now and rebuild or reshape the relationship with our friends and
be
families.
more disciplined, as I said, not going to shops anytime, you know, like, you know, that by 10 o'clock you should be finishing everything. Not bad, you know.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Let's be part of the whole world. They sleep at 10 o'clock.
Oh, no, we don't sleep at that, but, you know, we're closer, as you said, closer to our families, you know.
Yeah,
This
getting
is
closer, rebuilding the relationships.
exactly, which is, you know, very important thing that we lost in all the technology and going out and doing that. Now, you know, it's like more important, well, visiting, you know, the people we just, you know, our relatives or friends that we missed visiting, or, you know, like, because at some time we're like very, you cannot really go to many places, so it's like, you know, you have to be with the family, especially during Ramadan and all that, although, you know, that one has to be very careful. Well, following guidelines.
Yes, well, particularly the social distancing rules, yes, it must be also intact.
Of course, of course. Well, how do you see Egypt right now, you know, like with all that we said, you know, like in the near future?
I see that there is a hope that we'll continue our journey to achieve a higher growth rate. It was expected last year, unfortunately, to be 5.8, and the plan was to achieve 7%. I keep fingers crossed that 7% is not a dream.
Yeah.
We will do it, inshallah.
Well, you know, dreams come to realities, they become realities. So, you know,
Inshallah.
it will happen, inshallah. And as we always say, well, God bless Egypt. So, Mr. Hani Boufatouh, thank you very much for being with us.
Pleasure.
It's always a pleasure having you. And as we always say, God bless Egypt, God bless Egyptians, God bless our president, God bless our police, God bless our army, our white army. And come to Egypt, visit us. You'll find a lot that will please you, and anything you like, it's here in Egypt. So I would like to quote from the Holy Quran before ending up. ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله آمنين. Enter Egypt, God willing, safe. And from the Holy Bible, Mubarak Sha'bi Misr, blessed be Egypt, my people. I'm Nermin Nazim signing off. We see you again next week. Goodbye for now.